Hey friends, Elizabeth here from Plant-Based Bride, and I am back with a very special video. Today I am setting up my new notebook. As many of you are aware, I was very close to finishing my Rhodia web notebook, so I knew I would have to set up a new notebook for October, and I wanted to try something a little different. So I did a bunch of research. I asked all of you what notebooks you use, what notebooks you'd like to see me use, and I came to the conclusion that I wanted to try out Dingbat's notebooks. So this is a notebook from Dingbat's Earth collection, which is a newer collection that they have that is more tailored towards bullet journaling. And the one I got is in the color sky blue, and it is themed around the Great Barrier Reef. So you saw as I flipped it open that there's actually an infographic with a bunch of information about the Great Barrier Reef, its current state, and the kinds of things that we can do to help protect the Great Barrier Reef, which I really love. The range has 3 different notebooks, and each one highlights a separate fragile ecosystem from around the globe that is threatened by human activity, which I just think is such a wonderful concept. I can 100% make a full review on the Dingbat's notebooks if you're interested once I've had a little bit more time to use mine, so I can give you a really accurate impression of the use of the journal. So I'm just starting off here with the future log, as I always do. Starting with November, I'm going through an entire year's worth and giving space below the month to add dates and the event. And the purpose of this is to keep track of holidays, birthdays, events, plans that are coming up in the next year. Since I don't set up my bullet journal until a couple weeks before the month begins, there's really no way to put in a doctor's appointment for 6 months from now, or a reminder that I'm going to my in-laws' house for Thanksgiving, or any of those things ahead of time in a bullet journal unless I have my future log. So my future log, while it's not the most used spread in my bullet journal, is definitely a necessity for me. This is a very similar setup to how I set up in my last bullet journal, and I really enjoyed that, so I stuck with the same general concept, but did a slightly different style while still keeping it very minimal. And that's something you'll see through this entire setup. I really wanted to keep it very plain, straightforward. I didn't add any color. I just wanted it to be minimal and practical and something that I wouldn't get sick of as I continue to use it for the entire life of this journal. Those little dots I'm adding are really the only decoration for these setup pages, and those are just tiny little bubbles to very loosely tie in the theme of the notebook, the fact that it is a Great Barrier Reef notebook, to have those little bubbles like we're underwater. So next I'm doing a quote page. I don't believe I've done a quote page on a setup of a new bullet journal before, but I just felt like it was important to me in this setup to really focus on trying to improve my mindset, trying to really get my head in the game to finish off this year strong. As some of you may know, especially if you are following me over on Instagram, I've had a very rough month. Just a lot of things have happened. A lot of things have gone wrong. It's been very stressful, and I feel like I've kind of fallen behind on a lot of my goals with the busyness of summer and then the month of everything going wrong. So I really want to take this as an opportunity for a brand new fresh start. I'm leaving September behind and using the next 3 months to really get my head in the game and make myself feel as though I've really accomplished something to be proud of in 2018. So in keeping with that kind of feeling of a fresh start, of inspiring myself, and of also being kind to myself, which is something I've been working on this entire year, I wanted to use the quote "flawed and still worthy," because I think it is so important to remember that every human on the entire planet is so incredibly flawed, and yet you still have inherent worth. Your flaws do not make you less worthy of respect and love and happiness. And that's something that is very important to remember, especially if you're going through a rough time. Next to that, I did a grid spacing page, which was inspired by Amanda Rach Doodles. She did a grid spacing page in her bullet journal setup, and I'd never seen one before. And as soon as I saw it, I thought, this is exactly what I need, because no matter how many times I set up a spread, every time I have to count the dots again. I always forget how many dots wide and how many dots tall whatever notebook I'm using is. no matter how many times I counted. It's really quite ridiculous. So I actually thought about making a mini reference in my Rodeo web notebook, just writing how many squares wide and how many squares tall. So I would just have it written down somewhere, and I just never ended up doing it. And then when I was watching some bullet journal setup videos to get inspired and excited to do mine, and I watched Amanda's, I thought, yes, this is the opportunity. I will put it right at the beginning, and it will be a reference for the entire time I use this journal, especially because the Dingbats notebook is actually a little wider than my Rodeo web notebook. It's a little bit bigger than a standard A5 journal. So for that reason, it's even more important that I keep track of the actual dimensions of the pages. So now I'm moving on to my next spread, which is my wish list spread. I have one of these in my current bullet journal, and I've used it quite a lot, so I wanted to make another one, but actually expand it and have it cover 2 pages because I felt like I ran out of space quite quickly in the 1-page spread that I did in my last bullet journal. So the spread is very, very simple. I just have my wants, my needs, and then a waiting on section. So for my wants, I write down any item, whether it's just a general item. So I wrote slippers as an example. I need to get slippers. Or if it's something very specific, if I have a specific brand and type of slipper that I want. If I know the very specific item I want, I'll also add the price. And then I check it off once I order or purchase whatever it is. Same thing for need, anything I need to get. So the example I put down was cat collars. I need to get collars for both of my cats. And once I've ordered it, if I am ordering it online, I will move over to the waiting on side, and I'll write in that item, and I'll write in the expected delivery date based on the information on the website about shipping. And that gives me a general idea about when I should be around the house, when I should expect to have a package coming in, and then I can track it in case I miss it being delivered. I can make sure I look for a delivery slip so that I don't miss it entirely, forget about it, and have it sent back, because that's happened to me a lot of times, and let me tell you, it's not fun. And then I also left a space for me to write the actual date it was delivered, just for my information to see how quickly something was delivered from a specific place for future reference, and then a place to check it off. Once it is arrived, it's done, we're good, we're happy, and that item is no longer needing to be tracked. So next I'm moving on to my date night ideas spread. I had one of these again in my last bullet journal, and I really enjoyed having a place to write out ideas for dates to go on with my husband and a place to track what month of the year we went on that date. So how this works, if you didn't see my last bullet journal setup video, is that on the right side I write all of my ideas for dates to go on with my husband, and when we go on one of those dates, I will put a little dot across from it underneath the month that we're going on this date. So for example, I put a fancy dinner at Awai, which is a fancy vegan restaurant in Toronto where I live. So just say we make plans to go to Awai in October. I'll put a little dot under the O for October, draw a line across connecting to the dot beside the idea, fancy dinner at Awai, and then I'll cross it off when we go. And that way, at the end of the period of using this bullet journal, I can look back, see what ideas we've used, what ideas are still available for me to plan amazing dates for my husband, and what months we went on what dates. This is also nice for us because we're very, very, very busy, and we tend to forget to put ourselves first and to go out on real dates sometimes. So it's really a nice way for me to remember that we should be prioritizing going on real dates and spending time together, not just working on things or around the house. So the next section is my Minimalism Game section. As I explained in my last video, I am doing a challenge attempting to get rid of 2018 items by the end of 2018. Yes, I know it's ridiculous, but I think I can maybe do it. So I'm trying. In that video, I showed days 1 through 10, and then on my IGTV, I'm showing every day after that. So day 11 is already up on my IGTV, and I'll be putting up new videos as I have time to sit down and get rid of some things, and as I have time to film and put together little videos. So as of the recording of this video, I have completed 10 days of the challenge, which are all filmed and included in that video that I put up last week. So later on in this video, when I realize I hadn't done it yet, I'll highlight days 1 through 10 and items 1 through 55 to indicate that I've completed the first 10 days and gotten rid of the first 55 items. So that's my plan. As I go along, as I complete a day and get rid of that number of items, I will highlight the next little section until hopefully before January 1st, 2019, I will have filled in both boxes completely. On the next page is my end of year reset. So again, this is going back to what I was saying on the quote page, I've had a pretty rough month, and it's important to me to try to give myself a bit of a reset so that I won't stay in some of the patterns and habits I've developed over this month, and really push myself to accomplish everything I know I can accomplish in the rest of 2018. So this page was actually inspired by Kalynn Nicholson. I don't know if any of you watch her on YouTube. She is one of the original YouTube girls who I used to watch in high school, and I recently found her again, and she made a video recently, and some of the things she was talking about, these ways to sort of focus and find a new mindset, really resonated with me. So the first section is a reflection section. So I'm going to sit down and think about how my year has been so far and be very honest. I just gave myself a couple lines there to write out a very, very brief summary of how the year's been so far, and then space for one win that I've had this year, so something really great, and then one fail, something that really didn't turn out great, so that I have an honest reflection of what it's been like from January through September of 2018. The next section is mindset, and this is where I really want to set an intention or write out the kind of mindset I need to have to end the year off right. What mindset do I have to be in to get all my goals accomplished? And then after that, there's a section for each month. So month 1 is October, month 2, November, and month 3, December. And under each one, I have a section to write the focus of the month. And I really want to write out one focus for each month so that I can keep it really simple and get really focused. Hence focus. But I do think I've been kind of spreading myself too thin recently. I really always try to multitask, and it's just not very efficient. So I have that space for what I want to focus on, and then I have some room underneath to write any specific goals I have in relation to that focus point. And my hopes is that this page will really get me inspired and motivated and really zero in on what I want to get done so that I can be more productive and efficient in the rest of this year. And now we're on to the very, very last spread of this setup. I decided to include a YouTube video ideas spread and an Instagram content ideas spread. I haven't had one of these in my bullet journal for a while because I do tend to use my phone to record ideas, but I want to have a place in my bullet journal where I can write down ideas that I am kind of more of a fan of. So any idea that pops into my head, I'll write into my sort of master file on my phone. But then ideas that really stick out to me or ideas that I really think I should be focusing on, I'm going to include on this YouTube video ideas spread. And I also liked setting it up to split into 3 sections. So bullet journal, minimalism, and mental health, which are sort of the 3 things I want my channel to focus on. For the Instagram content side, I just want to write down ideas for photos. I really enjoy Instagram, but I sometimes find myself hitting a wall about what I should create. So I wanted to have an area where I could jot down any ideas I have about types of photos I wanted to create. And then along the bottom of each, I just have a growth tracker. So I'm just starting at 16 and going in 1,000 subscriber increments. And then for the growth tracker on the Instagram side, I started from 6,000 since I'm around 5,500 followers on Instagram right now. So starting at 6,000 and again in 1,000 follower increments all the way up to 18,000. And that is it for this setup. Those are all the spreads that I wanted to make sure I had at the front of my bullet journal to use for the entire length of time I'm using this notebook. There are some things that I carried over almost exactly the way they were in my last bullet journal, some entirely new spreads, and some little tweaks here and there. That's one of the most fun things about starting a brand new notebook, is that you can really look at what worked for you in your last bullet journal and what didn't, and improve upon it for your next one. I'm not even sure what number bullet journal this is now because I've been bullet journaling for such a long time. Probably at least my 6th or 7th, if not more. Let me know if you'd be interested in seeing some flip throughs of some of my old bullet journals. I think it would be really, really interesting to see, especially my first bullet journals. I used to bullet journal in tiny little pocket notebooks. So it would be interesting to see how things have evolved since then. So let me know if you want to see it. I will be making a flip through video of my most recent bullet journal, so don't worry about that. That will be coming probably in a couple of weeks once I'm completely done with it and I have time to film that video. And next week will be my October Plan With Me video. I am very, very excited for this one. So hopefully you're excited too. Don't forget to hit the bell notification if you haven't already, so that you'll be notified as soon as that video is live so you can check it out. And that is it for this video. Please give it a like if if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I would love, love, love to have you here. And enjoy the video of Chewy. He was lying on the radiator behind my desk for the entire time I was filming this video, which was a couple hours. And I thought he deserved a little feature in the video because he was very supportive in my journey of setting up my new bullet journal. And believe it or not, he is also lying beside me right now as I record this voiceover. So who doesn't love a supportive, fluffy cat? Because I sure do. If you want to see more pictures of Chewy or pictures of my other cat, Yoda, make sure you go follow me on Instagram. I post pictures of my cats, pictures of my bullet journal, letterboard quotes, and occasionally pictures of myself. So go check it out if you're interested in that. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you really soon in my next video. Bye, friends.